Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sam Mungai. This is the channel titled Ask Your Lecturer. This week we have an interesting question asked by one of our students, and it's very exciting. They want to find out how can we tell, or how can they tell local stories to depict the global economic collapse, this global situation that's happening globally. How can we contextualize that as we tell local stories? And that's what we are going to discuss today. Yes, there is a global meltdown, and we have witnessed this across the globe, especially more noticeably with the dollar, the erratic behavior of the dollar and other currencies worldwide. And this has had an effect globally. And it's continuing, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. Now, how can we, or how can a student contextualize this as they tell local stories? Now, remember, the global economic collapse has been occasioned by some of these items that I'm going to mention now. Not in any particular order. There has been irregular inflation. There is climate change. There is the Ukraine war. There is a supply chain disruptions and COVID-19 pandemic. Now, a combination of these globally have brought about the economic financial crisis and turmoil that we're experiencing globally. Now, in order for us to contextualize it, it has a spillover effect in our own country and in the various sectors that I'm going to mention right now. Now, you may have noted that in the country right now, there are many redundancies. And this is not only a Kenyan problem, it is a global occurrence. There are also situations where employees have been asked to take a pay cut and take 50%. Or others have been requested to take early retirement. And worse still, others have just been asked to go home. Businesses have also been affected. Businesses are slowing down, others have shut down. Now, all these are stories that can be told locally. There are many stories that the mainstream media may not be able to cover because there are so many, and in all sectors, informal and informal sectors, both in the urban areas and in the rural areas, both at small and micro enterprises and to large enterprises. And all these are happening in the country. We even have cases of multinational organizations that have had to close down or relocate to other countries because of cheaper labor and cheaper electricity and so on. Now, here in Kenya, this is a suggestion I want to make to my students. There are a few stories that you can pick up. One of them is at the port of Mombasa and the importation of vehicles. Now, if you go to that sector and interview the Car Importers Association of Kenya, they will tell you that the demand for vehicles has dropped significantly. And there are many vehicles stuck at the port right now because the uptake in terms of purchases from individuals, from companies, from dealers has dropped significantly because people don't have that kind of liquidity. That's a story right there. And you can explore that and you can tell that story well. Number two example, you can go to the formal lenders here in this country. And if you interview them, they will tell you that they're in possession of very many titles and very many logbooks. That means that many people bought vehicles on loan, but many vehicles now have been repossessed. So if you go to those formal lenders and in their go-downs and holding centers, they have very many vehicles which they have been unable to dispose of, and many titles and parcels of land which they are unable to dispose of. and many homes or houses that were bought on mortgage that the owners were unable to finance or to service those loans. All these are critical stories to tell. These stories show and depict the kind of economic situation in the country right now. And it's not only in this country, but we would focus on the country right now, so that everyone from the lower cadre going up to the leadership can appreciate just how difficult it is, the economic status in the country currently. You can also look at individual levels, the common citizen. Many have been unable to pay their rent. Many are unable to pay the fees. Many landlords have now gone back to negotiate with the tenants so that they can pay whatever it is they can afford. Many, if you look at many of the high-rise flats in residential areas, from middle class to up in the upper areas of this Kenyan capital, you'll notice that many of the flats are vacant. What does that tell you? It's affordability. So these are key stories that one can tell as a journalist. And remember, when you're starting out as a journalist in your career, look for the stories that haven't been told, the untold stories. Research them well. Take a good angle, a different angle that has been taken by others. Do your interviews, do your research, and package it well, and then share it out on the platforms. Media is very powerful to share information so that everyone can appreciate what is happening in the country according in relation to our economic status. But always give us a ray of hope. What can be done? What are the mitigating activities that are taking place? How are people coping? The landlords, the tenants, the financial sector, all these new ways of coping and mitigating. Tell these stories so that we all know we're on the journey, and to give us hope that it's going to improve, or there are ways in which we can approach to cope with this situation. I hope this has been helpful, and we thank you for continuing to watch us, to subscribe and to share. We welcome your comments and your questions. Keep it here for more content of this nature. See you in the next one.